Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight. I am Scott MacMeans with ActionCOACH, and I am pleased to be with Anthony Hodel. He is a unique individual. He's got a couple companies under his belt, and he has a really good story of lessons learned and things that you as an audience can really take into consideration when you own and operate your own business. With that, Anthony, the microphone and the camera are yours. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are right now.
Thanks for having me on. You're one of the few people I actually answered on LinkedIn. I get littered all day with these pitches, and I thought it was cool to get content out there. And what's great about digital and information society today is that we can learn a lot of things if we want to educate ourselves. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of good people. There's still good people left, and you learn things by mistake, and sometimes you can get other people's mistakes from sessions like this. So I've got a ton of those. I know we only have a half hour. So, but my name is Anthony Hodel. I'm from Cleveland Heights, graduated from Brunswick, transferred to Brunswick High School, went on to college, decided my third year in college, I'm broke. I can't call mommy and daddy. I've got to make my own living. Literally got on a bus and reached out to a former all-star quarterback I played in a game with, who is now one of the largest car dealers in the country, and started selling cars and going to school and paying my own way, the good old American way, and learned a lot. And we talked before, we recorded here, and talked a lot about how important process is, and being a business owner, people are just as important as your process. I know it's cliche, but I got into automotive, made a good living, then became a CEO of a big company, built it, and then really learned a lot about when you're, I've got a couple of business mentors, Tom Ganley, who's, passed away, and Ken Ganley and Lee Seidman from Motor Cars Group, guys that they'd always say, hey, when you get really big, you're going to get sued a lot. You're going to be in the paper. You're going to deal with a lot of adversity. And being a young kid, you go, nah, not me, not me. And you learn a lot about people and just how things really work behind the scenes when you're making a good living or you're successful. But it always goes back to, at the end of the day, if you don't have a solid process, you're not going to be successful. And we always seem to want to, and you may agree, there's times where we're desperate or our backs against the wall and we want to get away from that process because we need to get something quick. And you learn that you got to stick with that process even through the hardest parts, because that's what's going to get you through it. You can't craft your scenario for the situation. You've just got to stick with what you've implemented. Being 51 years old now, I use technology heavily in everything we do for our processes. So I got the car background, the technology background, growing a business and getting patents on technology. And when COVID hit, I got back into automotive. My passion is helping athletes get into college. I went back and started coaching high school football in 2000. I'm trying to remember the dates here. 2007, I was a middle school coach, went back to Cleveland Heights, and just standing there, and they said, you need to come back. You've got a unique story, and dealing with a troubled childhood, you really resonate with these kids. So I started coaching, and I'm like, wow, I love this. And I've been rich and poor many times. And one thing is, it's that helping other people and the energy and the positive things you get from that, that's, just really priceless. So one of the legs of my sports business was built off, I've got to get these kids in college, get them out of their scenarios. Everybody thinks Cleveland Heights is awesome. There's a great split of economics and social issues. And so I built a company, started placing our own kids, and then other schools started saying, what are you doing over there? And then I was in Glenville. I got contracted by different high schools across the country, which was the first time that ever happened. So COVID hit. What are we going to do? We don't even know if the colleges are going to be competing in sports, first of all. Secondly, are they going to have class? No, they didn't. Everybody's got to go home and do it on a computer. So we had to shut down because we can't charge somebody for something we don't know what's going to happen. So I reopened, and the used car market plummeted. I mean, right when I got in, I go to the auction and go, oh no, I'm in trouble. How am I going to pay my rent? So, being a former general manager of dealerships, I understand retail, the service department, but I never typed in a repair order for a customer. I never talked to a customer about their needs or repair. And we just had to do it. So backs against the wall, got to pay our bills. and open a shop, body shop. And now we've got partnerships with Carvana and Drive Time, a bunch of different insurers, and kind of leads to, if you put the right process in and you got a few key people, you can pretty much do a lot of different things with integrity. And it's tough with human capital being shorter today. That's the challenge I see right now. I don't know on your end, but human capital is a little bit low as far as quality people that really want to work. And
Why
that's
do you
kind
think
of,
that is, Anthony? Why do you think that is?
I mean, we all have opinions. I feel like it's the digital age, the crypto and the microwave mentality. Everything should be instant, and nobody really wants to go through the tough times. And there's some times when I'm doing business or I'm doing a deal and I go, this is really tough. And then I know at the end of the road, it's going to work out, because this is one of those deals that's not easy at all. When it's easy, it just, to me, I almost feel like, what's the issue here? It's too easy. And I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody, especially, I've got a 23-year-old daughter, she's in law school. She went through a period where she honestly felt like she was going to be an Instagram model, influencer, and a lot of the generation coming up now, because some people are doing it, it's why not me? So people
Mm-hmm.
don't want to go through the corporate, the grind and get your foot in the door. You don't hear anybody say, get my foot in the door anymore. It's always,
No.
I'm gonna, get these clicks and YouTube views, and that's what I think. That's what I feel
No.
like is
And I
crux.
don't think you're wrong, Anthony. I think it's an interesting paradigm shift in the way businesses are being operated today, because there is this immediate gratification expectation that everybody has, and they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to grind. Um, my experience leads me to believe most companies have amazing visions for what they want to do. They have a great mission statement, and the culture they're trying to create is really the thing that attracts talent to them. The challenge is, and this is where it becomes very interesting, people want to make sure that people think the way they do. And what I'm trying to teach people is, I want you to have a mindset that other people share, but they have different skill sets that you can bring to the table. So a bunch of people that think the same way. I'm not talking about thinking the same way as far as this is my skill, this is my job. I want people to think that this is the right vision, the right mission, and the culture here is what I think about. This is what is a motivator, and then add the different skill sets to make it work. With your different companies, how do you explain the environment that people work in? How do you explain the culture that you've built that's been able to attract certain people?
Treat the customer how you want to be treated.
Mhm.
You're going to we deal with different demographics. That's what's, really nice about being downtown, is we get Case Western, Cleveland State, Cleveland Clinic doctors. We'll see people from all over the world. The issue is treat the customer like you would want to be treated. And I know
Mhm.
that's cliche again, but there's times, even as an owner, I'm frustrated with a customer and I've got to go, I've got to take a step back. I got to look at it from their lens and understand what they perceive and explain it better.
Mhm.
With Google reviews, it's crucial to your business that you go the extra mile. It doesn't mean give away everything. If we've done something wrong, own it real quick, admit it. And people 100% of the time are shocked when you say, you know what, we dropped the ball here and we're going to make it
Mhm.
right. Now, if we did make a mistake, we're also going to stand firm on, because I also have to, as a leader, let my guys know, and people that work in the organization, that I have their back, that you can't just run to me and say, I got a problem, I'm unhappy, because there are consumers that want to take advantage of a business every day.
Yes.
So you've got to stand strong and say, you did nothing wrong as a staff member here, and the customer's not always right. And I know people don't want to hear that, but you've got to run the business understanding that it's just like sports. You got your teammates and then you have your
Mhm.
fans. And I think
You know,
you learn that in sports, and how it translates to business is amazing. I actually look for veterans and I look for former athletes when I hire. That's one of the first things. I
yeah.
also look for people that are smarter than me. I ran small companies like this, and I've run 400 employee, $100 million company. And there's no difference, because you want to bring people in that are okay to voice their opinion
Right.
and say, I think I have a better idea. I want to hear it, and let's see how we can implement it. I don't care who comes up with the mousetrap. Let's just figure it out. And that's what you're compensated to do. You're not here to
100%.
be a yes man. I never led like that. I've always listened to people. And, in my spare time, I love going to cigar lounges. That's what I like to do. And in that, as a 20-some-year-old kid, I'm sitting around with 60, 70-year-old, very successful people. And if you just sit there and listen, just like,
Hmm.
with a business coach, or it's investing in yourself.
Yeah.
I've learned so much just sitting in those rooms. It's like a golf course, same thing. Um,
I love
so
the idea of investing in yourself. And one thing I want to go back to, you said the customer is always right. I think people always misquote that
mhm,
phrase because they cut off the section that says the customer is always right when it comes to their taste. It has nothing to do with the customer always being right. And sometimes you need, and as you've described, you need a team member that has the authority, the confidence, and the autonomy to deal with situations when they know I'm doing the right thing for the business by either conceding or making something happen for the customer's benefit. That's a really strong, powerful thing that most leaders that are successful instill in their culture. They allow their people to do the right thing. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's very important to have people on your team, like I said, that have that mindset, but a different set of skills. And you nailed it when you said, I hire people that are smarter than me, right? People are afraid to do that. Real strong leaders don't hire people that will constantly say yes. So I appreciate where you're coming from on that.
I
One
mean,
thing
you
I
got
wanted
to
to talk
take,
about, go
sorry
ahead.
about that. The one thing that came to my mind from a business mentor was, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, what happens to the business? And if you
Yeah.
can't answer that it can continue to run, you got a problem as a leader. And, my folks know there's a policy account. You've got to look at, is there any leeway where we could have made the mistake? Did we make a mistake? And more importantly, what is the value of that customer? And if we're arguing over $50 to lose 5,000, there's a
Yeah.
no-brainer there. You got to evaluate it and say, look, and let the customer know, hey, this is where we stay in our position, but we value the relationship and want to still be involved with you and service you. So therefore, we're going to do this. And my folks are always empowered to do that, because I'm going to make the same mistake. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Anthony, so far that I love about our conversation is you're humble enough to recognize that you do make mistakes, but smart enough to know that's a learning experience. Now I won't ever do that again, right? It's a
Mhm.
very strong, powerful message for people to learn. It's okay to make a mistake as long as you quickly learn from it and are able to apply that new knowledge. And again, customers are going to take advantage of you if you constantly do it willy-nilly. But if you sit down and explain to them, listen, I value our relationship. And for this situation, I will concede the point. We messed up. Let's keep going and moving forward. I think people would love that transparency. And it's a shame that most businesses don't run run that way. My next question was going to be, what separates you from your competition? But Anthony, I've already gotten it. You've already told us this is what you guys do. That's so different than anybody else because you take care of your customers. That golden rule of treat people the way you want to be treated. It's so cliche, but it's so overlooked. People don't pay attention to it. Customer service, especially in your industry, you can get an alternator anywhere. You can get a set of tires anywhere.
Mhm.
Why do they
Yep.
come to your shop to get it done? Because the way they are feeling when they leave, they don't feel like they got screwed. They don't feel like they got put over on, and they feel like I'm driving away in a car I can feel comfortable in. They feel certain things, and that's why they keep coming back. So I give you kudos for that because that's huge.
Just the differentiators, like you said, you can go anywhere to get your car serviced.
Yeah.
Obviously, people look at Google reviews first. They look at location and pricing, and they come in because I have staff members that are some of the best at dealing with people. I've got one guy, he's like 70, he's been around 30 years. We work together. He's not a computer guy, and that's tough on me because I love people who can come right in and take technology and run. We're running an AI call center. I don't even use call centers anymore. I don't have receptionists. We run everything through AI.
Oh,
So I
wow.
want my customer profile has to be sharp enough to get through that simple system to book an appointment. We don't want to talk forever because we can't diagnose your car with a phone. I can't help your child about the recruiting process till we do an actual call, but you need to get on my planner. So we manage our time effectively, but the struggle for me bringing him in, and it really tested my patience, is it took him months to understand the online pricing guides, the technology, all the different, services we use, Calendly, all the
Yeah.
direct marketing, CRMs, and I get frustrated, and then I go home and go, he's a fish out of water. But you
Right.
can't teach that attachment and the compassion and how you handle the customer. So for me, that's the most important thing for the business. I can get someone else to sit by them if I really had to do the keystrokes, but I can't
Yeah.
teach someone to trust you. You just can't teach that.
No, you can't. And somebody like that who's been around the business for a long period of time and they have a good customer experience or customer interaction, it's invaluable for your business because those are the reasons why people want to keep coming back.
Right.
Right. It's easy to buy, right? You make it easy because of the AI technology, which is a smart thing to do. That wow factor, make it easy to buy. All those things come through it. But at the end of the day, if they come through the door and they're not treated well, it all falls down.
Right.
Right. It all falls down. So we've gotten a number of different things out of you so far, and I'm appreciative. This is great. I want to talk about some challenges that you've had and how those things kind of get worked out in your system because you clearly are a very process-oriented guy. So I want to know what can people learn from your experiences with challenges you face and how you get yourself through it.
I think the biggest thing is what can you outsource or what can you farm out? And even when you delegate or hire people, you've got to accept that there's going to be some fall off, and it's going to be, we're our own worst enemy as entrepreneurs. We really are. We think I know it. This is me, and I know it all, and we don't. We're not on the ground floor. I'm not there dealing with customers every day, so I've got to evaluate and collect information and say, what are you dealing with? What can I do to make it easier for you? And I can also understand what is the expectation of the customer, because the expectation of the customer that is from Japan, that is here for a residency at the Cleveland Clinic, they're not comfortable either. They're walking into a situation. They don't know us. They don't, when you walk into a shop, you're already upset. You're mad because your car's not working. You think you're going to get, screwed over, and that's not. We're going to sell you what you need, and we're here to make a living. And we tell that people we are a for-profit business, but we're here to do it right. And to do it right takes seasoned technicians that I've got to pay more than a dealership does. Because if I'm working at a dealership and it's granite floor and Keurig stations and beautiful, you can eat off the floor, and then I come to downtown Cleveland to an independent shop, you got to give me some reason to be here, and that's a financial there. But that translates to the customer. We don't have comebacks. We don't. But the challenge is being able to really sit down and say, I don't know it all. What can I get help with? Where do I find that help? And continue to educate yourself in different resources, because a lot of this stuff crosses over. If you listen to Grant Cardone or guys that are sales trainers, you could sell anything when you go through those processes. But the challenge is really sitting down and trying to carve out what is my price per hour, what's my value to this business, and where am I wasting it? Because we do every day, we waste our time. So that's why I like process and technology, because then I can take those tasks off the table and focus on the real issue. And that takes maturity and time and failure to say, I'm tired of getting my tail kicked in, and literally sit down and they do this in therapy and psychology. It's make a list, pros and cons. It's the same thing in business, is what can I hand off and still have a good customer experience and streamline it, and not spend time on the phone with the wrong people. And it's hard to do because you feel like I got to take every call. Every call is worth money. No, it's not. Some of those calls cost you a lot of money, a lot of time. So that's why I like that process. But to get to that point, you got to let go of control. And that's tough to do when it's your baby,
It's very hard to let go. And I think one of the biggest challenges as a coach, getting people to delegate the responsibilities to somebody else. And I hear this all the time. I work with a mechanic, and his answer is, well, nobody does it the way I do.
Yeah,
I said, with all due respect,
how many U's can you make?
There's a lot of mechanics that know how to do certain things. You may be a specialist, I get it. But at some point, you have a skill set that could be taught. What you want to do is run your business. So what can we do to change your mindset to run a business? And what you've laid out today is a very process heavy orientation to the way you run your business, which is very solid. Because as a business coach, I teach process because that's what makes things work.
Mhm.
Make it fit, not necessarily in a box, but make it fit so you can move to the next step. And if everything is automated, like you said, you can go away and not even be noticed that you were not there. Because as a business owner, you should own a commercial, profitable enterprise that makes money when you're not around. And if you can do that as a business owner, unbelievable amounts of success are coming your way. I've noticed you made a lot of comments about managing your time, managing your responsibilities, and then hiring the right people. But I also remember you said human capital is one of the biggest challenges that you have right now. So how do you manage the delegation, or how do you manage the process being handed off to people that may not necessarily be the right number of people or the right caliber of people? So walk me through that a little bit.
I mean, the problem that I face is, we vet everybody, we do the background check, we do, when we talk about the shops, are you ASC certified? You go through the resume, you make calls. Of course, when you call previous employer for legal reasons, they're never going to tell you the full story. They'll just give you the IC or this is, the HR answer. You don't know what you get until you put them on a lift and start working on a car. And that's a scary, scary proposition, because now, you got an Audi that's worth $160,000 and I got a new guy, really don't know. And we're in bed now, we're working. And I find out that they may have a skill set, but they just can't work in this environment or team. They're looking for a reason not to get something done all the time, burn a lot of time, on their phone a lot. And it's just becomes, I see guys that are in their 50s, desensitized and looking at their phone and can't focus. And I'm going, this is getting crazy. And unfortunately, that's a market that is diminishing. There's not a group of kids going, I want to run out and turn a wrench. I want to be a mechanic. It's getting bad, where the schools are saying we're down 50% enrollment. They're trying to crank them through so they can keep their relationships with the dealers. A lot of stuff I'm seeing now in the automotive is you're literally, franchise dealers are having their technicians actually log into a video screen and showing somebody at Ford what's wrong with the car so they can walk them through the repair. And that's scary. I talk to friends that run multiple chain stores and they're service directors, and they're going, the quality of people. And, it takes a lot of different people to run a business, and not everybody can make $200K a year or whatever your dream is. Some people, this is your skill set. This is your, what your salary is or your income potential is, and you got to move forward. I just struggle with, you put somebody in, that's somebody's car, and it drains it. You go, I missed this one, I missed it. And you go back and you look at it and you think, I vetted them, I made calls, I did everything, all the certifications are there, but then when I put them there, it's just not there. There's excuses, delays. Oh, we should farm this out. Well, what do you mean? You tore the whole car apart. You've been doing this 30 years. You're telling me this is the first Ford you've seen that you're gonna do a transmission on. And then you hire a guy, no certifications, or they're not current, has some baggage, but cares about what is going on with the business, the environment, and the customer. And you go, this breaks every rule. This is someone that should not be employed. And you find out they're one of your best people. So it's tough. It's tough because you question your decision-making or your process, and you go, it's not a perfect process. But when you're limited on the pool of, specifically in automotive mechanics, you have to step out of your boundary and figure out, can I take this person's character and work it into our system? And a lot of times the character trumps the experience over the long run plan. Because if they're fighting you every step of the way, they could be the smartest mechanic in the room, but they're going to just tick off everybody in the environment, so they can't work together.
Yeah. There is something that we like to talk about. It's the 16 pillars of hiring the right person, right? And it comes down to, you get 3 points or 3 pillars for your mind. Are you capable? Do you know this skill? Body, you get 3 points. Do you know, or can your body show up, and physically, can you do the work? And then you get 5 points each for heart and soul. If you hire based on those 16 pillars, you hire some really good people. And what we find out is most employers like yourself want to work with the people that score 5s in the heart and soul, and lower on the mind and body because you can teach them. This is the old adage of hire for attitude, not aptitude. You can get people to learn exactly what you want them to learn through your training. But if they don't have the right mindset, if they don't believe in your culture, your vision, they're going to be a detriment. And it's almost as if you should hire them quickly so you understand if they're good, bad, or indifferent, and fire them faster. That way you don't tarnish the rest of the team. And it's been a great conversation. I didn't realize how long we've been going, but we've been going for quite a while. I want to finish this up with one last question for you, okay? And I think I already know the answer because we talked about it before. But if you were to sit down on a park bench next to the 18-year-old Anthony, what would you tell him?
Had this before, this question. Be honest. You know, when I was younger, very egotistical and not honest. You know, just throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, let's rock and roll. And you find out that it exhausts the hell out of you. Because you don't know what was said, what was done, where am I now? It's so much easier just to say, I messed up, I made a mistake, I'm human. Let's move forward. I mean, it's a weight off your chest. I think that's the biggest thing when I look back. It's you're 18, you know how it is when you're 18. You know everything, you know. It's not going to happen.
World's your oyster until it closes down on you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's always resonates with me. It's like, probably just tell it like it is and just say what it really is and how you feel. And yeah, it might be tough for a moment, but it's a hell of a lot tougher to go the other route.
Yeah. I appreciate that advice. Today was great. Amazing insight. I appreciate you spending the time with us on the Business Spotlight. And please, everybody, I'll have information down below so you can click. You can learn all about the different businesses that Anthony has talked about today. And I encourage you, click, visit, do what you need to, because good business people are hard to find. And people like Anthony are tough to find. So look him up, get a chance to do business with him. I think you're going to be happy. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate your time. Any last words?
Go Jackets. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye now.